Hello, and welcome to Michael's Train Talk. Today, I will be doing a ride on the Virginia and Truckee Railroad.
They have three.
Goes to show you that all that glitters is not gold. Under a 160-year-old ore trestle. Now, folks, this is how ore was brought from mines on the west side of the rails over to that crusher mill on the east side. Now, as we go underneath this trestle, I'd like you folks to take a look at those large rocks laying on the ground underneath it. Those large rocks laying there are actual gold and silver ore that has laid on the ground a century and a half. Now, the reason these rocks lay on the ground is when they brought the ore across this trestle, if the rock was too big to go through that crusher machinery, well, they just pushed that rock right off the top of the trestle. So if any of you folks are feeling a little bit lucky today, come on back later with a good big hammer. You can go overpass. Now, at one time, this was tunnel number 5 of those 7 tunnels between Carson City and Virginia City. When that highway was built in 1936, they took the whole top off that mountain and did what's called daylight the tunnel. Now that worked out pretty well. If you'll take a look outside, you'll notice it's daylight right now. But there is something we've always had a question about. As we go underneath that ridge, we have those herds of wild Mustangs, and of course we're very proud of them. We also have our kayak using pick and shovel only. About 15 minutes at a time. Then they would have to proceed upward in the main shaft and off the side in what was called a drift. Now at the end of that drift, they kept ice and cold water. They'd cool down a bit, then go back to work for about 15 minutes more. Now during that period of time, miners around the world made about 80 cents a day for their labor. Miners on the Comstock Low were in such high demand, they became the highest paid miners in the world at $4 a day. Now folks, that's the equivalent of $54 an hour now. At the end of their shift, they could go to Virginia City, they could order a 2-inch thick steak weighing about 2 pounds and a great big plate of beans. And folks, that meal would cost them about 40 cents. Now, as we come around the next curve, we're going to be looking down into Gold Canyon over the town of Gold Hill. Coming into view down in the canyon, the large steel roofed building you'll see down there at one time was the Crown Point Mill. Now, the functions of the mills on the Comstock was to crush that ore rock into near dust. past the grade crossing at the 1869 station, the Virginia and Truckee Railroad built for the town of Coldhill. Now, the V&T Railroad owned and operated this railroad station from 1869 until this line of Virginia City was abandoned in 1938. At that time, the railroad sold the station and all the property around it to Story County, Nevada, for the sum of $1. Now, folks, coming up to the rear of the train off the west side, on that little rise above us, you'll see the remains of the North Yellow Jacket shaft. Now, a little bit about how it all worked. The large tower you see up on the hill is called the head frame. That's what was used to hoist the ore up from the depths in large steel buckets. The ore would then be dumped down those two steep wooden chutes into what's called the ore bin at the bottom. Once this ore bin was sufficiently full, as we pass it, you'll see 3 doors on the front that would be opened, and that ore would then be dumped into railroad cars to be taken for crushing and processing. Now, folks, as the train does pull to a stop here, something a little interesting off the east side. If you look right over the bluff, you'll see the main head frame of the Yellow Jacket Mining Complex. Notice those huge wooden timbers have been plastered with concrete. That was done in an effort to help prevent that head frame from burning in the event of a fire. Now, folks, you might remember before we came through the tunnel, on the other side of that mountain, I did point out to you the East Yellow Jacket shaft. His name was Robert Gray. Now, Bob's love for the history of this railroad and the Comstock Lode never died. And after serving his country in World War II with the United States Marine Corps in combat in the Pacific Campaign, when that war ended, Bob Gray opened a small stamp and coin shop. Folks, in 1971, Bob Gray made his dream come true. Using his own money, he bought little pieces of ground a little bit at a time where the old man was once laid. It was at that time Bob Gray and about 25 of his friends and volunteers, and I was one of those volunteers, a young man at that time. We came up here with hand shoveled this great asphalt railroad. History with their own 2 eyes. Bob helped them learn a lot more about all the things that really did make America great than they ever would when it was strong. Now, one long time when we first came to Comstock, put that little hut next to their running place. So much so, they started to haul it by the wagon load to the brand new town of Virginia City and throw it on the streets. Now, they did that because that would not ride so hard and track so well. It did actually tracking the wagons and mules, especially during those winter months. But about 2 years went by. In late 1862, someone finally assayed that infernal blue money. Folks, it came back at nearly $3,000 for a ton in silver. It was Russian Comstock was off. And people from all over the globe started coming to the richest gold and silver site in royal history. Almost overnight, Virginia City's population swelled to nearly 35,000 people. And folks, that legend that you might have heard, well, that legend might well be true. There was one point in time the streets of Virginia City had been paved with silver. Still to this day, there is over 750 miles of mine shafts and tunnels going down 3,000 feet deep and even deeper than that up here along the Comstock Lode. When the Virginia and Truckee Railroad began hauling all that rich ore in 1870, well, folks, that made us the richest railroad in the world. We were able to pay our stockholders dividends as high as $100,000 a month. Folks, that's a fact. While we're paused here, I do want to make mention of something. The hill on the west side of the train is blocking our view. But once we clear this hill, we'll reach our shop grade crossing. Just above us is the Collar Mine Tour. Now, folks, that is an outstanding tour. I really do recommend it if you do have the time. They do take you down into the original 1861 collar mine. They show you how hard rock mining was done here on the Comstock Lode. Even give you a little sample of total darkness. And folks, and incidentally, folks, just for those of you who don't know, the whistle signals from the train, they are prescribed by the Federal Railway Administration. We are a real railroad. We are not a Disneyland attraction. We're licensed under the FRA, and they do come up and inspect us usually twice a month because we are running antique equipment. So we maintain our safety as best we can. Two shots of the whistle may be going forward. 3 shots may be going backward. When we reach the crossings, if it's a very small slip drop off the east side, you get a glimpse out 6 Mile Canyon way out from those Carson Plains. Now, it was out on those Carson Plains in 1860. There was a little lake spot on the map, a place called Desert Wells. Desert Wells was a Pony Express stop for a brief time before the Express ran. It became a stagecoach stop after that. In 1862, a young man came to Desert Wells. He stayed there about 3 weeks before moving to Virginia City. His name was Samuel Langhorne Clemens. When he arrived in Virginia City, he got a job at the newspaper in town, the Territorial Enterprise, and for the years he lived in our town, he wrote a lot of stories, articles in that newspaper, and folks, while he lived in Virginia City, he also changed his name to that which we know him as today, Mark Twain. Mark Twain went on to become one of the greatest authors in all of American history, writing wonderful books of stories, stories that are as wonderful to read today as they were when he wrote them over 100 years ago. And folks, Mark Twain began his writing career right here in Virginia City. City Station, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you once again very much for riding with us today on this little trip through history. While you're here in Virginia City, please do enjoy some of the shops and museums. I know you like them. And wherever your travels do take you, please do drive carefully. Thank you once again for riding with me. I really do hope you enjoyed it, had a good time, maybe learned a little bit about the history of the Comstock Lode and the Virginia. Folks, have a wonderful afternoon, and God bless each and every one.
Please hit the like and subscribe button under this video and hit the bell to be notified when new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.